I'm still having to say their system.
I also saw.
You know, well, I'm going to use a switch. I'll get the judge off my neck.
Maybe I'll see you tomorrow morning in the morning shift.
I never see Dennis like Dennis. I don't know how he's doing. Long. I never see him. That's
Yeah, that's why I don't think that's. What else is going on?
So it's the same website.
Yeah, I have any big issue with my daughter, so I'll stay in touch. Oh, yeah.
That's the jury. I like the and they don't bite, they can't bite. Did it go by quick?
Oh, my God, once you get 29. I came home from work one day and my wife's husband asked us permission for marriage. I had a GoPro in my pocket because I had my water jacket on. So I said, let's go in the living room. I just stuck it on the table. We had no idea. I said, oh, okay. So we were I walked over 7 miles. I didn't take the tripod, I took the camera. I was talking about the sand's like this.
Kids used to get haircuts.
So we used to have to shoot the Browns games. It was like 2 seasons. Remember that? Do you remember that? Here, we had to shoot the Browns games.
Oh, no, I was here for that.
So I did 2 games one season. This is Oh, yeah, you're sitting there. Oh, shit. Going your way.
He had recovered, but I see his foot right when he recovered. The shoe had started. 6 inches.
Oh my God. That is the first position for your twisting.
I love that. I love that for you. You're like, I have to sit down. I'm not. I don't blame you.
Push him up and then.
I think it's so chilly. You know what you're thinking. Like, it's nice outside, but it's chilly. But sure.
Oh, yeah.
We let her walk a lot. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
Yeah, the side latch.
Here, can you autograph this for me?
Yeah, right. Here's a pen. Was there? Hey, you got a pen?
So,
I'm following you.
yeah, right.
How are you?
I'm well.
I'm still not sick.
We were doing,
Okay. Oh,
do you need a case number?
no,
or do
I'm
you-
okay.
All right, sweet. We'll be going in a few minutes.
I like this.
What's that?
You and I, we're
Yeah,
doing
all
it
right.
together.
Dynamic.
Shoot over your penis.
Whatever you need.
Because there's no rules.
I can just take it.
No.
Huh? I don't know. He got me an email for using GoPro. Well, tell me two other things. This is just cool. So I think it's such a job, security jobs and everything.
I used to do. I used to try to keep it social.
So we have a reporter in Plain now, I've had this like 2 or 3 sweet shakes in a row where they're like, they don't like the look of the GoPro. They want the phone instead of the GoPro.
Yeah, the older GoPros are about 100%, you know.
I can barely tell the difference because we have a couple of like 11 and 12, and I have a Hero 5 on here. It's the first really good GoPro I've been in, but it's like, wrong.
Kristen, are you doing exhibits?
Yeah.
Okay.
This for so I can
All rise. The Honorable Judge Kevin Kelley presiding.
Good morning. If everybody could please be seated. Okay, to the ladies, before we begin, to the ladies and gentlemen of the media that are here today, you're welcome to be here. My request is that you not film the family members of the defendant. Is that, can we agree to that? All right,
Sure, they'll just be on this side.
okay.
Thank you.
His, they're on that side.
No, they're not
We're
recording.
not-
Okay, just
Yeah,
being
so
clear,
when
because
they
I'm-
walk in, yeah.
They're coming in now after.
Yeah, that's,
I mean, they'll be in the background.
yeah, just, if you could just keep the cameras away from them as best you can. Best you can.
Yeah, we're not gonna zero focus on
Yeah.
that. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we are on the record in case number 691644 in the matter of State of Ohio versus Ian Rich. Mr. Rich is present in the courtroom today with his attorney Thomas Shaughnessy and Thomas M. Shaughnessy. Representing the State of Ohio is Assistant County Prosecutor Kristen Carcutt. Ms. Carcutt, are there any members of law enforcement or family members you would like to introduce at this time?
Judge, the courtroom is honestly filled behind me with a number of the victims' families, and then they'll introduce themselves when they come up and speak.
Thank you very much. Mr. Rich, is there any reason that we should not proceed to sentencing today?
No.
Thank you. Okay. So, Mr. Rich, if you recall, on the 5th of May, you had pled guilty to involuntary manslaughter with a 5-year firearm specification, which is a felony of the first degree. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall that I had advised you that a felony of the first degree is punishable by a term of incarceration of 3 to 11 years and or a fine of up to $20,000?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And I also advised you that the 5-year firearm specification had to run prior to and consecutive to any other sentence that is imposed in these charges. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall on that same date, the 5th of May, you had pled guilty to attempted murder with a 3-year firearm specification, a felony of the first degree?
Yes.
Okay. The felony of the first degree comes with these same sentencing guidelines of 3 to 11 years, and the 3-year firearm specification, like the 5-year firearm specification, runs prior to and consecutive to any other sentence that the court imposes. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Finally, you had pled guilty to discharge of firearms on or near prohibited premises. This is also a felony of the first degree, and that has the same 3 years to 11 years plus a financial penalty of up to $20,000. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Okay. And as a result of the plea negotiation, the remaining counts were dismissed. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Okay. At the time, I also advised you on what we refer to as the Reagan-Tokes law. Okay. Now, do you remember this conversation? Okay. I'm going to read it into the record again, just to be thorough. And then we'll just, again, like we did at the time of the plea, we're just going to do a quick math exercise to make sure we all understand each other, okay? Senate Bill 201 implements an indefinite sentencing system for non-life felonies of the first and second degree. The sentencing judge will impose a minimum term from within the currently established sentencing range and a maximum term of an additional 50% of the minimum term imposed. Release is presumed to occur at the expiration of the minimum term. However, the Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections may, under certain circumstances, rebut that release presumption and impose additional prison time up to the maximum term. Okay, what that means is the department can make certain findings and they can extend your time based on how you adjust to incarceration for up to 50% of the minimum term. what the court states here would be considered the minimum term. This applies to the first, the highest level felony, which in this case is the amended count 1 involuntary manslaughter with the 5-year firearm specification. So just hypothetically, if the court were to sentence you on amended count 1 to 10 years, that would be considered the minimum term. Can you tell me what half of 10 is?
5.
So what would the maximum term be under this hypothetical?
15 years.
Correct. So the minimum would be 10, the maximum is 5. This only applies to the highest, it doesn't apply to each count in the event that the court runs sentences consecutive. It applies to the highest level felony of the first or second degree, okay? Now, I have to also advise you that as your out date approaches, the department can make this finding more than one time, but they can never exceed the maximum term. So hypothetically, if your out date's coming and they impose an additional 1 year, and then it was coming up again, they can continue to do that, but they can never exceed the maximum term. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. And again, we talked about this at the time of the plea. The presumption is for what the trial court states. And you understand the concept of a presumption. Okay. So it will be presumed by the institution that what the trial court states is going to be the term. However, they can make certain findings to extend to the maximum term. Do you have any questions about that?
No.
Okay. So that is the Reagan-Tokes law. I also advised you that although I went over the sentencing guidelines, the court can run sentences consecutively, but I also indicated that I generally follow the agreed upon sentencing range that was presented by the state and your attorney. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Okay. Since the time of the plea, I requested and received a pre-sentence investigation report. Have all parties had an opportunity to review this?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
I have received a recommendation regarding disposition from the court psychiatric clinic. Have all parties had an opportunity to review that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
I have received a report from a mitigation report from Stinson and Associates associated with this case. Has everybody an opportunity to review this as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. In addition, I have received a letter from Jackie Oleski, a friend. I have received a letter from Linda Rich in support of Mr. Rich. I have received a letter from Rhonda Rich, Mr. Rich's mother, and Linda Rich is the aunt of Mr. Rich, if I said that incorrectly. I have received and I have reviewed a sentencing memorandum prepared by Ms. Carcutt. I assume, Ms. Chauncey, you've had an opportunity to review this?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Is there anything else that the court should be in possession of that I have not mentioned?
I believe it connected in there, attached is one other letter from his father. It was in the same batch.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, I have reviewed that letter as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. At this point, I would like to recognize Ms. Carcutt on behalf of the state of Ohio.
Thank you, Your Honor. The court correctly recited the plea agreement in this case, and I'll just remind the court that the agreed upon sentencing range that was also part of that plea was that this court would sentence the defendant to a term of incarceration of either 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, or 40 years. And the state of Ohio is here today asking you to impose that 40-year sentence, and they know it's a sentence that the Perez family would like me to impose as well. The defendant's actions on April 28th of last year are just quite frankly unspeakable. To follow Jackie and David as they got onto the highway and with his top down and unleash gunfire as they're traveling down the highway at a high rate of speed. It's miraculous that no one but David lost his life that night. And the strength and courage that Jackie Perez has shown, not only in the moments as her husband is dying in that truck, to get it under control, to stop it on that highway, to be sure for her own safety and the safety of other motorists, is nothing short of miraculous. And the fact that she's been able to get up every day and deal with this and deal with the loss of her husband speaks volumes. There's no other way to categorize this loss for the Perez family as tragic and difficult, and I know that they're going to express that to you this morning, Judge. I do have some exhibits marked so that you can see really the outcome of what Mr. Rich's actions were that day. These are a handful of the crime scene photos. There are, you can see where Ms. Perez was able to bring the vehicle to a stop on 77. You can see the 6 bullet holes in the driver's side window that went through there, ended up causing 4 fatal gunshot wounds to David and also struck Jackie in the arm. So I'll give these to the court. They're marked as State's Exhibits 3 through 27.
Thank you.
I know that Jackie and Sally are going to stand up in a moment, Judge, and address the court. The family's also provided me with a letter that they would like me to read into the record too.
Ms. Cochran.
Honorable Judge, we come before you today to express our deep, profound grief and sadness of the loss of our brother David and the physical and emotional harm to our sister-in-law Jackie. We understand that nothing that happens in this room today can ease the pain that we as siblings endure day after day. We struggle immensely in the absence of David. Making this senseless murder more difficult is watching our sister-in-law, David's wife, and our parents trying to come to grips with what happened. The cowardly actions of Ian Rich on April 28th, 2024 will forever be etched in not only in our minds, but in the minds of David's niece, nephews, and many of his friends that loved him dearly. The emotional toll on our family is immense, and we are all dealing with the death of David in our own ways. We know that this has also taken a toll on our children as they grieve the loss of their uncle David. Judge, we trust that the sentence you impose will ensure accountability and most of all justice for our brother David. This sentence will help give us a path to continue to heal and honor our beloved brother for the genuine person he truly was. Respectfully, Melissa Perez, Tony Perez, and Teddy Perez.
Thank you.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. Thank you for being here. Before you begin, would you please state your name for the record?
My name is Jackie Perez. I'm the wife of David Perez. Okay. I'm writing to you today as the wife and widow of Dave Perez, who was tragically murdered on April 28, 2024 by Ian Rich. I am deeply affected by the loss of my husband and feel compelled to share the devastating impact this crime has had on my life and the lives of our family. Ian Rich not only took away Dave's life, but he took away the love of my life. Dave was a loving husband, son, brother, and uncle who brought joy and laughter to everyone who knew him. His absence has left a gaping hole in our lives, and the pain of his loss is indescribable. Since the homicide, I have experienced emotional and physical anxiety. Loud noises terrify me. I have difficulty sleeping and the constant grief I face every day. The trauma of this crime has left our family mentally drained. Dave was my whole world. We did everything together. We would have been married for 26 years. He was always happy and made everyone laugh. We were supposed to be leaving in 4 days for vacation before this tragedy happened. We had our lives planned to retire in 3 years, and now all those plans had to be changed. I have to learn to live without him every single day, taking on all the house maintenance and financial responsibilities myself. It has been a rough road, one that I will have to learn to live with for the rest of my life. I believe that Ian Rich must be held accountable for his actions, and that a just sentence is crucial to provide some form of closure for our family. I urge the court to consider the severity of this crime and the profound impact it has had on our lives when determining the appropriate punishment. I am asking the court to impose a sentence of 40 years or more for this heinous crime. Thank you.
Thank you very much. How are you doing? You were shot as well?
I was shot in the arm.
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm okay.
Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Sally Perez. I am the mother of David Perez. Your Honor, April 28th of 2024 started out as a beautiful Sunday. Dave and his wife Jackie, along with his brothers and sister, planned a surprise 75th birthday party for my husband at Harry's Steakhouse. The party was a huge success, with family, friends, and neighbors all participating. David was so excited that they were able to pull this off because it's hard to get anything past my husband. After the party, Dave and Jackie came back to our house to see what gifts my husband received. We all joked about how many lottery tickets Ted got. A little after 9, David and Jackie left to go home because of work the next day. After a few minutes, that is when the biggest nightmare of our lives happened. The devil next door followed Dave and Jackie, waiting for them to get on the freeway, then shooting them as they drove, killing Dave and wounding Jackie, two people that had never even spoken to him, never even talked to him. Dave and Jackie had a beautiful marriage of almost 26 years. They did everything together. Please, Your Honor, I am asking you to impose the maximum sentence of 40 years to the devil that took our son from us. My heart as a mother will never heal, and as far as I'm concerned, no amount of time he would get would be enough for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Very sorry for your loss.
Judge, we ask that you consider the materials you have before you, the state sentencing memorandum, the facts and circumstances of this case and the victim impact statements that you've heard from the president today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Shaughnessy, on behalf of Mr. Rich.
Thank you very much, Your Honor, for pleasing the court. I would just begin by stating that nothing I'm about to say is in any way meant to demean the seriousness of what occurred here, or in any way to demean the loss to the Perez family. Judge, I think we would all agree that this is a tragic situation. Your Honor, though, at this point, I do feel compelled to talk about Ian for a few moments, as this is his sentencing. And Judge, I think often we say to ourselves, how did we end up here? And we try and look backwards and see what happened, what were the signs, what were the things, how did this occur? Judge, this young man is 30 years old, and as indicated in the pre-sentence report, he has no prior criminal record other than a couple of traffic citations. He's a graduate of Lake Catholic High School. He has an associate's degree from Lakeland Community College. He was employed for a number of years at the steel mills. Judge, I think when you look backwards, and you have the psychiatric history, psychological history before you, and I'm not going to reiterate that all, and I know you've read it and understand it. You have reports from our court clinic, reports from Dr. Stinson. But just to highlight this, throughout the years, he's been diagnosed with a social phobia. And let me stop there. These are not excuses. They're not defenses. They're not justifications. They might be a reason or a mitigation of how this young man got here. He's pled guilty. He's acknowledged his guilt. He's acknowledged that this is not a defense, what I'm about to say, and he's agreed that he's going to serve 35 to 40 years in prison. So I just want to be clear, we're not trying to make an excuse. But he has been diagnosed with social phobia, persistent mood disorder, anxiety disorder, psychosis, ADHD. Those don't amount to criminal defense, Your Honor, we all know that. But they do talk about the troubles that this young man had throughout his life. There was drug use. And we acknowledge that that drug use was voluntary in the sense that perhaps he was using it to mask those other conditions that he had. He did begin to use methamphetamine, and we acknowledge it's not a defense because the first time he took it, it was voluntary. Your Honor, however, though, that spiraled into a delusional psychosis that leads us here today. And again, I'm going to stress again, we're not saying that's an excuse. The court's aware to the depths that these delusions went. This young man owned a home, was working in the steel mills. He dismantled that home board by board, took all of the drywall off, was looking for where the FBI was listening to. He was tunneling out of his basement. He was spraying herbicides because he had a delusion that that would keep these people away that were trying to get him. He was hearing voices. He was going to his mother's house and pouring bleach down the drains. He was sleeping, and it's the old proverbial, it's not a joke though. He was sleeping under tinfoil and bricks and boards. This delusion was that strong. And as indicated in the materials you have there, his family recognized this. His family called Newburgh Heights Police. His mother called, I'm counting at least 9 well checks when she would talk to him and she would hear what was in his voice, the things that he was experiencing, the things that he was going through. And Newburgh Heights would go over there and try and do a well check, try and help him. They were aware of what was going on there. The family is very supportive. They're here in the back. They tried to have him hospitalized. They sent him to St. Vincent. You have all the materials. They did all the things they could because they were realizing and living these delusions with him. They didn't know at that time that it was a meth-induced delusion, but they were trying to get him help, and he believed these things in his mind, whether self-induced or not. Your Honor, there's not much more I can say. We look at a lot of homicides down here. We look at intent. We look at people's backgrounds. I think when you look here, this is a troubled young man who voluntarily used some drugs that probably had a reaction on him that spun out of control like no other. But I do believe, and I don't think the doctors disagree, that this was a real delusion in his mind, that these folks were out to harm him. Well, we all know that's not true. And Ian knows that's not true now. Judge, he doesn't have a prior record. He's accepted responsibility. He's agreed to go away for 35 to 40 years. And I think there's a tremendous amount of things in his background that would suggest that a lower end of that range would be appropriate. Judge, I know you mentioned consecutive sentences. Just as a matter of the record, we obviously agree that there have to be consecutive sentences to get into the range that we have. So I don't believe the court's required to make those findings. We got the benefit of the plea, so I just want to place that on the record, that I believe that's how
Without
it works.
objection?
No, that's a correct statement of the law.
Okay, so I'll not make the findings on the record.
Your Honor, at this time, I know Ian would like to make a brief statement.
Okay. Mr. Rich?
I'm deeply sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Thank you. Before imposing sentence, the court notes for the record, I've considered the entire record, the statements that have been made here today. I've considered the pre-sentence investigation report, the mitigation report prepared by Stinson Associates. I've considered the court psychiatric clinic recommendations. I've read all of the letters of support. I've considered the sentencing memorandum that has been provided by the state of Ohio. I've considered the victim impact in making a decision, and I've considered the principles and purposes of felony sentencing contained in Ohio Revised Code, Section 2929, Sections 11 through 13, which require a judge to consider the seriousness and recidivism factors of this case in sentencing. And the court will make a sentencing decision that is commensurate with and not demeaning to the seriousness of the offense and its impact upon the victims, and consistent with sentences imposed for similar offenses committed by similar offenders. I rattled through a number of documents that I read in trying to, trying to come up with what is a just sentence within this range. And as Mr. Shaughnessy stated, you try to make sense of things, and this doesn't make any sense. And I'm very sorry for the victim's family as well as the defendant's family. Clearly, there was some psychosis going on. Weighing the pre-sentence investigation, court psychiatric clinic, and the Stinson Associate report, what I was looking for was some kind of, something that would, for mitigation factors, something like a history of schizophrenia, something of that nature. And I think in trying to resolve like what really happened here, I'm landing on this paragraph from the court psychiatric clinic report, which says, regarding psychosis, Mr. Rich's reported symptoms were inconsistent with genuine psychosis and reflective of substance-induced psychosis for several reasons, including but not limited to, and then the court psychiatric clinic gave me 5 reasons why this was not psychosis other than substance-induced. So that would tend towards the higher end of the range when I consider all the documents that have been put forth before me, that I've read each of them numerous times, and I was reading these with that type of mitigation in mind. I just didn't find in any of these reports, and that paragraph kind of sums up what Mr. Rich's mental state at the time of this act. So again, having considered all of the information that has been put forth, the court sentences Mr. Rich on count 1 to 11 years plus 5 years on the specification. Count 1, the minimum is 11, the maximum is 16.5. On count 2, the court sentences Mr. Rich to 11 years plus 3 years to run with the firearm specification to run consecutive. And on count 6, the court sentences Mr. Rich to 10 years for a total of 40 years to 46.5 years. 45.5 years.
My math was wrong, I was just
Okay.
46.5.
46.5 years. Upon release, because this is a felony, the highest felony is a felony of the first degree, you will be subject to a mandatory term of post-release control of 2 to 5 years. While on post-release control, if you were to violate the terms of post-release control, the Adult Parole Authority has the authority to return you to prison for up to 1/2 of the original sentence imposed. If you were convicted of an additional felony while on post-release control, the sentencing judge in the subsequent case can impose an additional term of 1 year or whatever time remains on post-release control, whichever is greater. Finally, while on post-release control, if you were to fail to report to your supervising officer, you could be charged with escape, which is a felony in the state of Ohio. You will be given credit for the number of days that you spent in local incarceration. Luke, do we have that number? Number of local days, jail days? No problem. We'll determine that number, and that will be, you will be given credit for any days that you spent locally. Again, to all the family members here, I'm sorry that we're here together under these circumstances, and I wish you all hopefully some sort of peace in the future going forward. So, we are adjourned. Thank you. I'm going to give you these exhibits. Sorry.
Hey, Kristen.
You guys are live streaming that too.
Yeah, you can only do what you can do. Channel 3, Smiler.
Thank.
That one's me, I think. Did you give me mine, or? This is mine. I got it. That's yours.